let's discuss other interesting current events. Notice that, well, there's something strange happening right now in Israel, and that's according to what's being reported there. Well, there's already confirmation that an evacuation has been ordered for most of the diplomats and their families from the Abu Dhabi embassy in Abu Dhabi, right? At the consulate in Dubai. The National Security Council made this decision. Let's see, what's happening in Israel? For them to suddenly decide to start making that diplomatic move, right? I mean, why is there an evacuation? This is being reported. Let's see. Let's get into the details, right? This is being reported by Times of Israel, also by Gannett News, and by Reuters. So there are already several agencies and media outlets, even Israeli ones, that have reported and already announced the immediate evacuation order for most of the diplomats and their families from that embassy. So what does that mean? I mean, they don't explain why, they just make the move. Why take them out? I mean, the only thing that catches my attention is when you take out families and people. Non-essential, they say it's because something tough and serious is coming.
Exactly. This decision comes after the National Security Council issued an enhanced travel warning due to the risk of attacks on Israelis and Jews in the United Arab Emirates. The National Security Council, it warned that groups like Iran, Hamas, Hezbollah, and global jihadist networks would be stepping up their efforts to attack Israelis, specifically during Jewish holidays or the Shabbat. According to Gannett News, Foreign's Minister ordered evacuations for all representatives in the United Arab Emirates due to this warning.
So what the intelligence supposedly identified is an alleged motivation for revenge. It's going to be very interesting because it's already, what is it, 2 years of war? How many has it been? It's been 2 years of war. Well, I mean, I think the jihadists and these radical groups have been operating for a while now. I mean, no, honestly, I don't think that's all. All of a sudden they say, oh, now there's more trouble than yesterday. Well, no, there have been problems all this time, and in fact, travel to all those areas hasn't been recommended precisely because of that. I mean, I think there's something extra here that makes it so that not even diplomats who have security and all these reinforcements can be in those areas.
It reminds me a bit of what happened before the attacks on Iran. If you remember, in that case, it would be the United States. They evacuated the families from the people who were in different places in different Arab countries.
Vladimir Putin is totally ignoring Trump. But now he really doesn't care at all, because in the end he realized that he talks a lot. Trump says a lot of things, but he usually does little. That's a very typical trait of his. In fact, in his own negotiation books, he talks about exaggerating a lot. In fact, you yourselves have told me right here, those of you who are super pro-Trump, here you can be super anything. I mean, you've told us, like, well, that's just how he is. He likes to exaggerate a lot, but he makes it popular. And I'm talking about people who follow him, people who are fans of his. And he's right about that. I mean, he is right. He does tend to exaggerate a lot. The point here is that in this matter, Russia is escalating. The more they say it's going to be fine, intense. Vladimir Putin is increasing the military offensive in Ukraine. Despite the ultimatum of ultimatums, today he came out to say that there were only 8 days left. 8 days until the ultimatum. Every time they tell him about the ultimatum from Russia, the attacks are intensifying, a stronger attack towards Ukraine. Sorry, I'm going to say that it was disgusting. Let's see, it's a video. But it's interesting because there is, what's it called, a comment, a strong comment from Trump, because it seems like the comments are no longer working as much effect. But is it this one? No? Is it this comment? Let's listen to it. With missiles and drones, more than 100 people, children.
I think it's disgusting, Russia. I think what they're doing is disgusting. I think it's disgusting. This is Biden's war. It's not my war. But I said that if I get in, I'll try to stop this. But I think what Russia is doing is very sad. A lot of Russians are dying. You have a lot of Russians. More Russians are dying, but the Russians are dying. The Ukrainians are dying, you know. The United States really isn't involved in that war. It shouldn't be. I made a deal with NATO where they pay us for everything we send them. We send them ammunition, missiles, etc., and we're not paying anything for that war. But I'll tell you, this should stop. It's a disgrace. And the ones who are dying so they're losing 7,000 now. It used to be 5,000. Ukraine and Russia are each losing 7,000 soldiers per week. They're also losing people in towns and cities now as Putin is attacking them with rockets. I don't think it's shameful.
Well, there it is. Part of the comment made by Donald Trump.
I mean, he says we're making money, but how sad, but we're making money.
Exactly. That's the classic Trump style. That sums up the situation. Anything else? Let's move on to other important matters as well. This gentleman you're seeing here, let's see if we can get him on screen. There he is. A person we've rarely talked about, yes, but he's still important because he's a prime minister of NATO. I mean, of one of the NATO countries. The Lithuanian prime minister has resigned because there is an investigation into corruption in his administration. That's something we don't really understand here in Mexico. I mean, here, if they're investigated for corruption, it almost seems like people applaud them even more and give them more positions.
That's just how it is.
Well, it's really rare for someone to resign as soon as they're under investigation. And here we're talking about the Prime Minister, Gintuatas Palucas, who has a really funny name because here people would troll him a lot by calling him Palucas. But anyway, Mr. Palucas decides to resign first so that he can be properly investigated.
Exactly. These are countries that were once part of the Union of Soviet Socialist Republics. And well, according to the president's report, about an hour ago he made the decision to resign from his position as Prime Minister. This is what he wrote in his memorandum, his statement, where the Prime Minister of Lithuania, the Social Democrat Stepa Luklas, who leads the government, which is a coalition, said that he was resigning so that the investigation could take place. He says he will continue to defend his honor and dignity despite leaving his current position. I await the conclusions of the investigation, which I am sure will make a distinction between facts and insinuation.
Donald Trump warns that Canada's support for the creation of a Palestinian state puts the trade agreement with the United States at risk. But later he also said that they were not going to change the tariffs because of the Palestinian issue. In the end, he did raise them, but it supposedly had nothing to do with that issue and wasn't going to be influenced by it. The thing is, well, yesterday Canada said that they are going to recognize the creation of a Palestinian state. They joined France, they joined the United Kingdom, and many other countries as well. Well, Trump didn't like it and wants to put pressure on Canadian foreign policy. This is an issue that, well, in Canada has also been seen as something very negative. The statement came hours after Mark Carney expressed his support for the issue of the Palestinian state.
Exactly, which, well, has already been repeated quite a bit. It started with France, then the United Kingdom followed, now we have Canada, and more countries are joining this issue.
Let's see how this develops. In the meantime, let's discuss other important topics.